first guest today is Yakim. Yakim is a dear friend of Kenny. And how long have you known him?
I've known Kenneth approximately 40, 45 years.
That's beautiful. How did you guys first meet?
We met in the public school over here. We both went to 3072, and we grew up in the same neighborhood. We in the same neighborhood. I'm the guy that appeared in his American Gangster video that told you guys how that Kenneth was built South Jamaica tough, and how at the 5% rallies and unions that he would had to speak, and that he was a very swift brother. He was very smart, and there was nothing dumb about him. And I'm here to speak on his behalf.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because when you look at, as a reporter, I'm doing the research, and they made him look like so villainous. They equated him to like this whole big gangster, whatever. But I had the privilege of being able to meet him inadvertently in the entertainment industry, and I never got that aura from him. Why do you think society as a whole painted him as they painted him?
Well, what you got to understand is that they painted him that way because he's a black man. And when we're talking about American society, we're talking about the black man is always painted as the villain. As we've seen in the last few days, how easy it is for the black man to be painted as the villain no matter what he's doing. He could be pinned down on the ground by law enforcement and still shot and killed, or he could be sitting in his car reaching for his wallet and still shot and killed. So it's very easy to paint a black man as a villain in America. That's not no real scientific puzzle.
One of the things that we talked about earlier off screen was the need to put African Americans in justice, meaning within the system instead of the injustice. What would you say to people that want to help Kenny and his struggle to get his day in court?
Now, that's a twofold question. All right, let me start first one. In getting into the law enforcement system and changing the balance, we have to have young kids that's in school, going to law school, applying for jobs in corrections, applying for jobs in police departments, FBI, DEA. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that because half these cats that's running around talking about they tough is not really tough. And all that's really a front. So go to school, get your education, and get in there. And those who are not in school, we need y'all to register to vote. We need you on grand juries. We need you on petty juries. We need to balance the scales. That's what the problem is. The scales are not balanced because we are falling victim to these petty crimes, possession of marijuana. It's like a fish once you get tagged, and once you get that tag on you, you disqualified from all those things, so we are locked out. Now, once we stop with the knucklehead stuff and we get into the system, we could change the scales. We could balance the scales of justice and then get some justice. As far as justice for Preme, yeah, I believe that he's entitled to justice because I know for a fact that the majority of his trial was built on falsehood, perjury, lies that the prosecutors knowingly allowed to come into the case. I mean, anybody can see that. How can you, it's back to the law enforcement killing black men, like Eric Gardner, for example. Here's this man that the coroner said was a victim of a homicide. We know the police choked him out, but yet the grand jury failed to indict him. You give hearsay to a federal grand jury, and they believe that anything that the prosecutor told him that Kenneth did, and now he's got life in prison. You see how the imbalance is? And yet here's the police officer killing black men and never getting charged, never get indicted, and nothing never happens. They get to go home and eat dinner with his family.
You made a very valid point as far as people getting involved in the system. Because when they talk about the jury, they talk about the jury of your peers. But if your peers don't understand your lifestyle, how can they rule in favor when they don't understand your own personal struggle? Now, going back to what you had said as far as, Kenneth's case or Supreme's case, one of the things that I found very interesting and when I was studying it was that one of the judges, the reason why he got parole instead of the death penalty is because they realized the injustice of it all. What do you say to that in particular notification, like as far as how did that happen? Like, how does that happen?
I'm going to tell you how that happened. You have some federal judges on the benches. I have personally appeared before numerous federal judges in pro se capacity, meaning representing myself. And there are some good judges, but what happens is called peer pressure. Okay, even though they call a judge, federal judge in Eastern District of New York, Southern District of New York, they're still subject to peer pressure. Just like the laws that he's subject to right now, Kenneth, with the guidelines. The guidelines were completely misconstrued. The Sentencing Commission got it all wrong. Congress got it all wrong. And President Obama tried to straighten it out, as y'all saw, with the -2, you understand? And people are aware that some of these things are erroneous. And you have judges like that know that, and they could act just but so much, but they're subject to peer pressure. Like, okay, he didn't get the death penalty, and we're grateful for that. We're definitely grateful for that. And the life in prison is better than the death penalty, but it could have still been better. He could have had a number. He could have had an end number. Yes, that's what I mean by end number. And I believe that if we go forward and we push hard enough and get this new trial, if we don't get a complete exoneration, that he should be entitled to a number. But to answer your original question is peer pressure. Politicians, judges, everybody's subject to peer pressures. Their peers are pressuring them to like, yo, what are you doing? You know, and they'll say, hey, Bob, this is what the law says. Well, that's not what you're supposed to say. Right. You could continue to deny them the law, one, because you could do that, and two, they don't know no better.
You know that, and I'm glad that you said that, because the other thing that was interesting was one of the judges put out a book and said that, you know, it was wrong. But then when it came time for him to make the judgment on the appeal, he denied it. Right. And I guess, again, going back to what you had mentioned, probably that rule of peer pressure still existed, even though it was years later. Right. The last thing I would like to ask you is, what would you like to tell Supreme right now?
Yo, homie, just like I said on American Gangster, South Jamaica Tough, built like that, stay like that. You know what I'm saying? We here. I always been here for you. I never left. I'm still here for you, man. Just holler at your boy. I got you on any post-conviction, any help that you need, any legal research. Holler at me, man. You heard? I'll talk to you then.
Well, there it is. We've got more people that we're going to be talking with. Till then, keep it right here. We'll be right back.